Hello. I'm going to try the clicker because this is such a big stage, it feels a shame to stand behind the podium. But apparently it's a bit finicky. Oh, it's a good start. Back to the podium we go. Ah! Yeah. We're going all the way back. So first of all, welcome. I'm Dan Morehead. I'm from Channel 4. I was formerly at the BBC, and I'm going to be talking to you today about SEO for streaming, video, and how viewing habits have changed over the past few years. So first of all, just a bit of background about me. I joined Channel 4 in January. Prior to that, I had 4 years at the BBC. So I don't know if anyone was here for Barry Adams's talk this morning about when all the news sites got hit by an algorithm update. But I was at the BBC at that time, and reporting on the Daily Mail's traffic halving was a very, very happy time for me personally. Prior to that, I was 6 years in agencies, and prior to that, I had one title-winning season at Manchester City with my friend Yaya Toure there. When I presented this to my boss, just internally, she was a bit confused about that. And I didn't really understand why, but apparently she thought I meant that I played for Manchester City. But no, I am not an elite world-class athlete for 1 year and then got into SEO. It was they just put us in the media shed in the car park. So, a bit of history about Channel 4 to explain who we are, what we do. I did this talk in Amsterdam at Friends of Search earlier in the year. And I didn't realize that the Dutch really do not know Channel 4. So I'm hoping that people here will know. I'm going to go into a bit of history about it. We're a public service broadcaster founded in 1982. Similar to the BBC, except we're not paid by the license fee. It's purely advertisements and commercial breaks. So our remit is promoting change through entertainment. And we produce our shows with independent contractors. So a lot of different independent production companies make all our shows, which is why we've got these blocks all coming together to form the Channel 4 logo. We're such a legacy broadcaster. It's, back in the day, we would just have 4 channels, and that's kind of what your choice was to watch. So, but the 78% of the UK audience, it still has touch with our main broadcast channel each month. So it's 47 million people. We're still moving from that legacy broadcaster where we would reach people on linear television, and now we're trying to switch into streaming. So just a question for you here. This is one the Dutch didn't get, but I hope you might. Does anyone know what Channel 4's streaming service is called? Please put your hand up if you feel like you know. And if you think it was 4OD, you're very wrong, because it's not been 4OD for 7 years, which really ages you, doesn't it? Bit horrible. If you thought it was All 4, oh, you're wrong again. Sorry, it's not All 4 anymore. We've rebranded this year, and we're in the middle of this brand transformation, which I'm going to be talking about now. So when 4OD launched years and years ago, we finally saw that crossover to All 4. The search trends, we started seeing more traffic coming through All 4, but Channel 4 as the main brand term would still drive the majority of traffic. But when we got rid of 4OD, when we got rid of All 4, we still want to rank for those terms, because if you didn't know that we're not called that anymore, still be searching for it. So we still need to rank for all of these terms. And it's the biggest free streaming service in the UK, because it's the 12 television channels. It's got the main channel, E4, which is the more for the younger audience. It's got Film 4, which is just great films that they produce, and then some music channels. And all in all, the streaming service has 1.2 billion program views every year. In fact, in the late noughties, when the streaming service first launched, we started seeing this big spike for Channel 4 iPlayer, and that still drives a bit of traffic to us. So I don't know whether it suggests that people think that an iPlayer is an online video player, or if they think that, you know, is all part of the BBC. But if the BBC rip off Apple's marketing, I guess that's what happens. And as I said, right now we're going through a brand transformation. So we've gone from 4OD, we've gone to all 4, and now we are consolidating all of our signals into Channel 4. So now the streaming service itself is just known as Channel 4. So we're the first ones to actually just make one brand identity for all your platforms. So the linear channel and the streaming service itself. And when we are optimizing for our TV shows, I always try to consolidate things down into like 3 families of search intent. We can argue about how many different families of search intent there are, but I like the 3s. So the first of all that we would look at is informational, which is I want to know something. And in terms of if we wanted to promote a live event, people might be searching for, say, what time is England versus Italy on? So it's an informational query about when a show is going to be broadcast. And we're up against a lot of different competitors for these types of queries, because it'll be different publishers which are writing about the shows, even though they might not know when the TV show actually starts. And when we look into Google Trends, you can get different types of related queries to show that people are searching for what time is a certain show on and what day. But informational queries don't necessarily have to drive traffic to our website, and that's always something that you need to remember. So something like Married at First Sight, I don't know if there's any fans in here, but that's just a show we broadcast. We don't produce any additional content around it. But if someone is searching for Married at First Sight and they want an informational, they have an informational search intent, they might want to read about the gossip. So we're happy that they will be going onto different websites because they're still consuming related content to the show, which they will then watch on our platform. And the second family is what we consider transactional, which is I want to do something. And in terms of our platform itself, the transaction isn't necessarily monetary. It's just watching the show or registering. So here we have the, if you can see with the contrast, we've got the regular search results there, so your organic listings, and we've also got what we call the Watch Now Media Actions button. And you get on that by integrating your catalog with Google. And the third family would be navigational. So that might be, I want to go somewhere. So it could be an audience member that actually wants to, go to a show. Or when I first joined Channel 4 and I was trying to find the Manchester office, it was actually temporarily closed on Google My Business because it closed down during COVID and no one had updated it. And as we move more into the live streaming and really promoting our live events, it's presenting a few more challenges. So whenever we're trying to promote a live event, we're looking at these topic clusters, and what we did really well at the BBC, and is kind of essential if you want to rank in any kind of like Google News or Google Videos, is getting the stingers right across all different types of content. And once you notice it, you will see these stingers at the start of your page titles for all of your different topic clusters. But when we rank for different search terms, we do need to consider what the intent is at that specific time. And it doesn't matter if you're not ranking at certain periods because the search intent will change. So if we consider England football, if you can see that, and then it's got 500,000 average monthly searches in the UK. But that's an average, so they really peak at times when the matches are going to be broadcast. So those are the times where you need to make sure that you're ranking, because that's when the majority of the traffic's going to come through. And we don't have every single England match. We've got the Nations League and we've got the Euro qualifiers. So it's at those periods we need to make sure that we're ranking for England football. So we produced a brand page, England International Football, which is the page that we want to be ranking. And then after a match has been broadcast, or after any kind of live event's been broadcast, it then becomes a program page, which is only accessible after broadcast and after it's been available linear. And that is great for different types of TV series, but if the episode page isn't available prior to broadcast, then we can't get the traffic there, which obviously. And it follows the logic from TV shows. So I don't know about you, but I don't really search for England International Football Series 1, Episode 12. I would search for what the actual match is. But if it was something like Peep Show Series 1, Episode 6, that makes complete sense. So we have to make sure that we've got different types of pages ranking, which is why we had the main brand page. And in fact, prior to broadcast earlier in the year, before that England-Italy match, it was actually a press page which was ranking. So we had to remove that press page, so we get in the main brand page ranking, because it's not fulfilling the user intent, because people don't want to land on this page right before broadcast. And I always try to not be a link skeptic. So it's been quite a change going from the BBC, where we didn't care about links. we had them all. But now we're starting to link build again at Channel 4 because we're a much smaller site. So don't be a link skeptic. If you are working with partners and if you have citations elsewhere, then why not ask them to link to you? So I was looking at, say, the English FA's website, which says it's live on Channel 4. So I just got in touch and said, would you mind linking through to our main brand page, which is the one that we wanted to rank. And now, before every match, they're always putting this streaming section in, linking through to us. So don't be a link skeptic. Get in touch with your partners. If there are citations, they can only say no. And actually, as I say, the search intent changes over time. So you might not want to rank at you probably do want to rank, but you might not be able to, because the search intent will change. So when I performed this search in particular, it was at the height of the Six Nations, England versus Italy, and all of the search results were about rugby. No one wants search results about rugby, Google. Come on. We all want the football. And if you actually searched for Italy versus England, because that's what the actual match was, England were away, but that's not necessarily what users would search, because you search for your home country first. You might not necessarily search for Italy versus England, but Google knew that that wasn't the rugby match, that was the football match. So it would give you a completely different SERPs for a very subtle change in what you're actually ranking for. And then when we search for England versus Italy, if you can make that out just at the bottom there, you want to rank for that at the right time. So as I said before, it would be Six Nations. We're not going to rank for it. We've got no content for it. But at the right time, it's worth keeping an eye on your rankings, because then the search intent changes and you want your audience to actually access your site at that time. And if we look at the different challenges, there's really one major one that we see these days, and that's the amount of competition and how the landscape has completely changed. So, like I say, back in the day, we were a legacy broadcaster. You had 4 choices. We had a pretty captive audience. But now, there's so many different streaming sites, and we also share our content amongst each other. We would license shows out to Netflix, to Amazon Prime. And a lot of the shows will be available on different websites, and people might not have that brand recognition. Like, they might not know Taskmaster's a Channel 4 show, or Derry Girls, because they've watched it on Netflix. So it's a real challenge for us to actually dominate the SERP and make sure that we've got that brand recognition when we're competing against other sites for our actual properties. And we do this by considering, again, I said I'm a fan of threes, the 3 pillars of SEO: technical, content, and off-page. And this is, I think this is a really good example of how you can use technical SEO to convince stakeholders of how important changes to your website could be, not just from a SEO perspective, but from a user perspective. So we have the load speeds for our site against competitors, and it's just a real simple visual way to get in front of senior stakeholders and say, actually, you might not care about core web vitals, but look how long this website takes to load compared to our competitors. So there's different ways that SEO and UX can combine to make real change to your website. the media actions button, which I mentioned before, that's not available for live streams. So you'd be counting on your traditional rankings and the video widgets. They're essential for live traffic. So as I say, you won't have that appearing if you've got a live stream, but if you've got a TV show, any kind of video that you want to rank, you've got your media actions button there. And you've also got the video widgets, which it's only accessible if you have the right kind of schema markup, and you will often see YouTube videos, even pirates sites, which are hosting our content. So we need to improve the schema markup to own more of the SERP and gets these videos ranking alongside the media actions button and alongside the regular organic links. You can get the live button across any type of live stream as long as you've got the correct schema applied. So you can get that for any kind of live stream which you're hosting on your site as long as you apply that. And there will always be different types of required properties for your schemas. So as I mentioned, we're in the process of this video markup to getting that video widget. So we're looking at the video object schemas. So you'd always need to check what your required properties are. So it's always recommended to go to schema.org and to read Google's developer guidelines. And if I just make another request here, is watch We Are Lady Parts on Channel 4. So it gets commissioned for a second series. It's about this Muslim all-female punk band, and it's incredible. So if that's one takeaway from today, please do that. And as we're trying to get these pages ranking, these episode pages, as I said, we need to make sure that they're accessible from users and from all search engines crawlers. So we don't want any of these, what we call orphan pages, which won't be accessible for the crawlers, because then we won't get ranked. So that's especially difficult when we had shows which hadn't been broadcast yet, but there was like hype around them. People started searching for them. So take this Suspect TV show. We were getting 4,000 impressions for it, but we only had minimal clicks because it was like, again, the press page ranking, because we had an orphan page which wasn't linked through at all. And if you are signed into your Google Search Console account, when you're doing these kind of searches, you can see the in-SERP analysis features. So we created a dynamic sitemap, XML sitemap, to include all of these new pages in advance of the publication. And then we can see that they start getting these clicks as the impressions continue to grow. So if I wanted to give you a couple of takeaways from today, I would say that technical is the bedrock of SEO. It doesn't matter how great your off-page signals are or your links, how great your content is, you could have the best videos. If technically your site isn't set up for the crawlers to access it, and if it isn't in the place to rank, your content just isn't going to get the clicks that it deserves. And consider the intent life cycles of your keywords. The intent will change, like could be seasonality, and you might not need to rank all the time. You just need to rank at the right time. Cheers, thank you. If you can indulge me for a second, I'm definitely going to take a selfie with the audience here because this stage is incredible. Thank you all.